Please do not move while the nozzle is engaging.
The Nozzle was based on a prank that they intended to play on visitors to the studio.
FlynnsArcade.
Hi, this is FlynnsArcade, and this is my video about the Venture Bros episode, The Invisible Hands of Fate, written by Jackson Public, with special reference to this book here. Before we start, please can you do me a massive solid and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and now, let's go. In this episode, we learn how White and Billy first met, and how Phantom Limb lost his arms and legs. Plus, we also learn about Brock's backstory as a secret agent and how he came to work for the Venture family. Style!
Do not be alarmed. We are about to engage the nozzle. Please do not move while the nozzle is engaging. Moving will disrupt calibration of the nozzle. Please wait while we calibrate the nozzle.
What was that thing?
I have no idea.
The Nozzle is one of the most famous scenes in the Ventureverse. The origin was a joke that Jackson and Doc made up when Jackson first moved into Doc's painting studio. They decided to call the place the Astro Base. The Nozzle was based on a prank that they intended to play on visitors to the studio. In the art book, Jackson says that the inclusion of the joke about the nozzle was basically a tiny love letter to Doc. This episode is incredibly violent. I mean, a lot of Venture Bros episodes are incredibly violent. In most Venture episodes, the violence is usually played for laughs. But in this episode, most of the time, it really isn't. There are a few quite disturbing examples, such as Billy getting twatted around the head with a book by White.
You were there too!
Hello, Goldilocks. This is Casper. Little Nemo has fallen out of bed.
Billy then goes on to lose a hand and an eye in an illegal dogfight.
Get in there and wake the old man, huh?
Race Bannon is spotted torturing a Sphinx agent.
Those fellas razzing you? You want me to say something to them?
Oh, we got it covered, man.
Adios, muchachos.
Myra gets tasered in front of a baby Hank and Dean.
Don't touch me, don't touch me.
The OSI are introduced in this dynamic but incredibly violent scene. However, after all the carnage and heartbreak of this episode, the final scene is absolutely beautiful. It's a very moving way to depict the formation of the Venture family and associates as we know them. The song playing is stock music, but originally Doc Hammer wanted the licensed song, Not for the First Time, by Neil Innes. But I think we'll all agree that the stock music works incredibly well with this scene. Cultural references. The Suffering Bastard.
Oh, good God. Barkeep, where's that suffering bastard?
I'm looking at him.
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
This is the first time we've seen a Doc-tail. But unlike some of the later drinks we've seen Doc drinking, this one actually isn't disgusting, and I looked it up, it's a real drink and it actually sounds quite digestible. The ingredients make it sound quite a lot like a Moscow Mule. One of the most powerful parts of this episode is the OSI introduction sequence. It's a strange juxtaposition of ultraviolence and a very heroic and positive sounding theme tune. Some of the events depicted in it are based on real-life historic events. Abu Ghraib torture and prisoner abuse. The OSI operative depicted is a reference to a famous photo of human rights abuses which were committed by the US military in an Iraqi prison. The Vietnam War. The OSI agent unaliving the Sphinx operative is a reference to a famous photo taken of a famous general unaliving a Viet Cong prisoner in Saigon. The Berlin Wall.
It's like a businessman's club or something.
That's what they said about the Bilderberg Group, son. And then whammo! Berlin Wall comes tumbling down.
No, it hasn't.
Oh, it will, kiddo. It was decided at the last meeting.
This reference doubles up as a bit of character development because the fact Hunter knew about this event years before it actually happened makes us realise that he must have had incredibly high security clearance. He really was important in his former role. Stephen Hawking. Billy's paper was actually written by Stephen Hawking, who was a famous British theoretical physicist and cosmologist. The Watchmen.
Going down, Waylon. Just don't even think about putting any of that cheating crap in here.
One of the contestants in the Underground Quiz League is wearing a blood-splattered smiley face design, which is that of the comedian from the graphic novel by Alan Moore, The Watchmen. I absolutely love The Watchmen, by the way. Back to the Future.
Managers get 15%.
Billy's accident at the start of the episode and the billboard next to Pete's trailer is a reference to the film Back to the Future. The Village People.
Boom!
Oh, yeah? Well, the village people called, and they want you to go fucking kill yourself, you prancy bastard!
The appearance of Shore Leave's crew is likened to the Village People, an American disco act who are famous for their elaborate costumes and suggestive lyrics. G.I. Joe.
Oh, Hunter, Waylon Flowers called. He wants his madam back.
Shore Leave's appearance is a reference to the G.I. Joe action figure and character, Shipwreck. Die Hard.
No, young Mr. Whalen.
Young Phantom Lim's appearance is a reference to Alan Rickman's character in Die Hard. Jokes. Billy is pretty successful in the Underground Quiz League, and this causes him to showboat. Brock and Hunter's disguise at the university is pretty funny.
You guys wired me?
Are you kidding? We're a walking wire. And right now you need to walk back in there and do your God-given duty. There are no free hands in this business, son.
Yet again, their disguises are terrible. They're worse than Jesse and James from Pokemon when they get disguised. However, the disguises double up as character development. Both of them are a wish fulfillment for both of the characters. Brock is dressed as an athlete, which is harking back to his days as a university football player, which sadly finished due to the tragic accident that he caused. And also Hunter's dressed as a cheerleader, which is a visual manifestation of his growing gender dysphoria. As I've already mentioned, it's pretty disturbing when White hits Billy with a book at the start of the episode. However, he gets to do this again in the epilogue, but this time it's actually quite funny.
You're safe now.
Oh, I was having the weirdest... On your bitches!
Come on! Oh, hey!
Whoa! Easy!
Character development. This episode feels like a sequel to Victor Echo November, where various characters discussed how Phantom Limb lost his arms and legs.
Something's amiss. Check the core roll displacement sequencer.
I don't know what that is!
Of course, you do. You wrote a paper on it.
No, Professor Phantomos, I didn't! I didn't write it! I cheated!
All of them knew that this involved Billy in some way, so it's nice to get some clarification on this. In the art book, Jackson says that fans weren't fond of Pete and Billy, so he shied away from using them, but he took this episode as an opportunity to re-embrace them. I really like the idea that White had a history as a game show host.
Hello, and welcome to Quizboy! I'm the host, the ever-popular Pete White.
He obviously had a love for broadcast media because of his stint as a university radio DJ, so it was really nice to see him forging a career as a game show host. However, being the Venture Bros, it was always going to end in failure. This episode was the very first one to feature fan favourite Shore Leave.
Well, if it isn't Mr. McGee and his little friend, the Hulk.
It was strange to see him picking on Hunter and Brock because, as we know, they became really close friends in later episodes. It was also strange to see Sergeant Hatred working for the OSI.
Look at me when I'm talking to you, Samson!
Now, don't you want to wait till Hunter gets here? You're gonna strain your voice yelling twice.
Colonel Gathers has been transferred to Guam, effective 0700 this morning. Your windmill chasing days are over, Sancho Panza. You got a new assignment.
However, it was quite difficult to know that it was him without the H on his face. He was also going by Sergeant Haynes as opposed to Sergeant Hatred at this point. So unless you speak French, it's actually quite difficult to realise that it's him. I really like the storyline of him being an undercover guild operative, preventing Hunter and Brock from putting scrutiny on the guild. But I can't help feeling that this storyline wasn't really explicit enough. Rating. I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. It had a lot going for it. I really loved the end sequence, and I found the OSI introduction scene incredibly powerful. There's a lot I really liked about this episode. I mean, I really liked learning more about Brock and Hunter, and I really liked meeting Shore Leave. However, the downside of it is it's just not a very funny episode. It had its moments. I mean, some of it was very funny, but it wasn't as funny as some of the other episodes that I've seen. I was also a bit disappointed by the Sergeant Haynes, Sergeant Hatred storyline because I really didn't know that was Sergeant Hatred when I first saw the episode, and it's just not that obvious, and I really would have liked to have had this idea of Sergeant Hatred being a guild mole working for the OSI. I think that's a brilliant storyline, and I really wish that had been brought out a bit more because it was just a really nice thing to see, and it was quite exciting, the idea of him having this as a backstory, and especially because he's been introduced as a new regular character. It's quite good to see that he isn't just like a kind of one-trick PDF file. It's quite nice to see him, you know, having other sides to his life. It was also pretty impressive to see the Nozzle sequence. It's such an iconic scene and it's a fan favourite for so many reasons, so that's the one thing that I always remember about this episode. Thinking about it as well, that all the stuff about the OSI, I couldn't really remember it until I did my most recent rewatch of this episode. So, and that's a shame because I actually think that was the strongest part. It was absolutely fascinating. Whereas whenever I think about this episode, I always just think about the storyline with Billy and White. So, do you agree with me? Do you really like this episode? Do you not like this episode? Did you find it funny? Because like I say, it has a few moments in it, but it just wasn't as funny as some of the other episodes, or maybe some of the jokes in it weren't really the sort of humour that I like. Do you agree with me about how violent it was? Because it really was incredibly violent, but I think the violence was completely justified, and like I say, as I'm a big fan of the OSI introduction sequence, I think it's absolutely stunning, even though it's quite disturbing. So please could you drop me a comment? If you don't know what to write, please could you just drop me a Go Team Venture, a Spanakopter or an Ignore Me, because apparently comments really help the algorithm and this will help the channel grow. I upload videos every weekend, so join me next time where I talk about the Venture Bros episode, Home is Where the Hate Is. If you haven't already and you're a fan of the Venture Bros, please check out my playlist because I've made loads of episodes about this programme. Please could you give the video a like if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel because I'm on a mission to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so every little helps and I really do appreciate your support, and thanks to everyone else who's already subscribed. So that's all from me. Unless anything comes up in the meantime, I'll see you next Sunday.